All right, hello, Mr. Sanders, Board of Trustees, Dr. Ledbetter. We are here to share with you the MISD School Board Priorities Update for the DIP and CIP process, additionally adding in the accountability pieces for the metrics that we have been able to update for 2019-2020. The board priorities were adopted on April 23rd. Those were developed during the visioning workshop on February 14th and finished on March 3rd. With a final adoption date of April 29th. The two standards that are being addressed in this presentation, Standard 1, providing responsible school board governance, is Benchmark B, ensuring the board is accountable and open to the public, including divergent perspectives in its decision-making process. And that action that the board chose as a priority was a semi-annual update on our improvement of performance. Standard 4A, holding school district accountable for meeting learning expectations, is a committing to continuous improvement in student achievement and throughout the district. And the action that the board chose is formative review of outcomes as they align with the district plan. What to expect in this is you will see that we have BQA and BQB legal and local review, which is the DEIC and CEIC site-based processes. Goals, performance objectives, and strategies, how the DIP is brought to fruition. Our goals as a district were approved by the board August of 2018. The DIP performance objectives were approved October of 2019, as those come every year to you, but the goals have remained intact since August of 2018. You'll see performance tracker updates, superintendent metrics, and campus principal metrics, and how these align to the district and campus improvement plan process for accountability. And you will also see goal review by department. Goal 1, academics, the Department of Learning will be sharing. Goal 2 will be staffing and personnel. Goal 3, safety, security, and SEL. Goal 4, finance and operations. Goal 5, technology services. And Goal 6, communications and partnerships. So the year-long formative checks process begins with the fact that we have a planning and decision-making at the district level. We have planning and decision-making at the campus level. Both of those processes are outlined in BQA legal local and BQB legal local. This also process is aligned to the superintendent and campus principal metrics. The formative checks process happened in November, February, and June through the Plan for Learning software process. Meetings are held on campus at least on a quarterly basis, actually campus and district. The DEIC holds the district level and the campuses hold the CEIC. Your DIP and CIP processes and all of those are listed on our district website. They are the main things that they work through is reviewing goals and performance objectives, work to design strategies to meet the measurements inside of those performance objectives. They also serve as advisory groups for several district responsibilities for calendar, IMA, professional development plans, etc. So we have our district goals. I mentioned earlier, they were adopted August of 2018. Those are based on the why, and those were based on data points that we shared with you during that adoption process. Those performance objectives are measurable and written to enable the district and school decision-making teams to plan and organize their work in accordance with achieving the goals. The performance objectives are updated yearly, and those are adopted when the DIP and CIP process is brought in front of the board in October of every school year. Then the strategies are the actual specific actions for achieving each performance objective. We also have the performance tracker. That is our community-based accountability system. It includes the district goals and performance objectives. Aligned with the performance tracker is the superintendent's metric. That is written with additional specificity from the performance tracker metrics to enable decision-making teams to plan and organize work. In addition, we have campus principal metrics that are written with even more additional specificity from the superintendent metrics to enable school district or campus teams to plan and organize their work in accordance with achieving the superintendent and performance tracker metrics. This is just a graphic of the performance tracker. Currently, you see here 2017 and 18, 2018, 19, and we're going to be going through some data points with you today with 2019, 2020. But this is the actual branded copy of the performance tracker that's found on our website. So the superintendent metrics I mentioned earlier, they're written with additional specificity from the performance tracker, and you'll see here that we have an internal copy of those superintendent metrics. And we have a baseline year, we have a 2018-19, we have a goal for 2019-20 that we set internally, and then we look at that and bring that, we put that data in there for 2019-20. We're going to break this down within each goal in just a moment, but you'll see here, and we have almost all of our data points thus far for 19-20. There's a couple of points we are still waiting on, but we have the areas in blue were met, those goals were met. If it was red, it either maintained or did not meet that increased expectation. And if it's highlighted in orange, you see no data due to COVID. Additionally, the campus metrics are aligned with the superintendent metrics, but provide even additional specificity. You'll see here the campuses have a full set of metrics. If it's in green, it is high school only. Purple is middle school only. Blue is elementary only, and anything in that pinkish color is all across all campuses. And these metrics are derived directly from the superintendent metrics, which are aligned to the district goals, performance objectives, and then the strategies. So goal 1, I'm going to turn over to Mrs. Walling and her team at this time, and they're going to take us through our academic portion of the plan.
Thank you, Dr. Carpenter. Good evening, Mr. Sanders, Dr. Ledbetter, and members of the board. We are here tonight to talk about goal 1 of the campus and district improvement plans. The goal 1, which is directly tied to our strategic plan, is design innovative learning environments while increasing academic rigor through aligned teaching and learning. You will see the first performance objective under goal 1 for the end of year formative check process. Design, develop, and support aligned K through 12 curriculum, providing challenging academic content standards and aligned academic achievement standards shown through empowered t-test data, which is our evaluation system for teachers, with an increase by 2 percentage points in accomplished or higher in each area of planning and instruction, as well as increasing in master's level in each content area by an average of at least 3 percentage points. The t-test data for teachers and empowered, we met. Planning went from 14.23% to 27.73%, with an increase of 13.5%. Instruction went from 11.68% in t-test to 27.14%, with an increase of 15.46%. STAR was not assessed this school year due to COVID, and so we are unable to show gains of 2%, or I mean, I'm sorry, of the 3 percentage points on the mastery level. T-test data is directly from principals' observations in the classroom. I wanted to just tell you a little bit more about that, so you would know. Because of the focus on making student-centered classrooms and using technology to enhance instruction, we see a great increase in this area. It starts with principals and assistant principals attending training and working with their teachers as instructional leaders. Teachers have attended trainings, worked with iCoaches and their principals to improve the alignment and build the rigor in their classroom. iPlan days allow for collaboration across the district to discuss meeting the state standards and teaching to the complexity of those standards. Usually we look at several things at the end of the year besides STAR data to see how we have increased in student achievement. Because of COVID, we do not have valid data on many assessments that are taken at the end of the year, such as iStation, Imagine Math at the elementary level. We have received our AP data, and we are still awaiting our college, career, and military readiness data from the state. So we will be sharing what we have in those areas with you tonight as well. Performance objective 2, provide student opportunities to reach their unlimited potential through collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, and communication within the K-12 aligned curriculum, with an increase in Bright Bites data in the teacher and student area of the 4 Cs by 25 scale points by the end of 1920 school year. Bright Bites will be assessed this coming November of 2020. So what we used as an alternative assessment was empowered t-test learning environment, encompassing all 4 Cs. We increased from 12.77% to 25.37%, with an increase of 12.6%. Bright Bites was scheduled for the end of March, but was postponed until November of 2020 due to the COVID situation. We didn't feel like it was appropriate to ask our teachers, students, and parents to complete this at the start of remote learning. We will do this in November so that the data is available for use as comparison and checkpoint to where we are in the 4 areas. Because we didn't have the Bright Bites data, we looked at our t-test information which has the components that looks closely at the learning environment and with the 4 C's: collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, and communication, as that is how we define an effective digital learning environment. The goal states, empowered T-test learning environment 3.4. By fully implementing the district curriculum, the teacher creates a digital learning environment that is flexible and customized. Again, our teachers have improved in this area in their classroom and instruction due to a focus on the 4 C's in everything that we do, including professional learning, PLCs, coaching, and principal observations and feedback. Performance objective 3, systematically support professional development in the implementation of a K-12 aligned curriculum as measured by participant feedback of district professional development, where at least 90% of teachers believe that professional development increased the effectiveness of their teaching and learning. From new teacher, back to school, I-plan days, we met this goal. 90.58% of our teachers ranked their development effective. Moving forward, we wanted to share with you that all survey data is being collected anonymously. And so we wanted to share that with you. And we have already begun to, any feedback that we've taken for this summer and our Empowered has been, and anything that we'll do in our professional development pieces in August, and then our I-plan will all be anonymous. Performance objective 4, support excellence through purpose by providing intentional application of high yield learning strategies for growth of all students with an increase on average of 5 percentage points in the percentage of students successful in Tier 1 instruction only in K through 2 and for 3rd through 10th grade. Increasing in I'm sorry, I misread that. Let me go back. The percentage, let's see, I'm just going to start over. It'll be easier. Excuse me. Support excellence through purpose by providing intentional application of high yield learning strategies for growth of all students with an increase of an average of 5 percentage points in the percentage of students successful in Tier 1 instruction only in K through 2 and for 3rd through 10th grade, increase in master's level in each content area by an average of 3 percentage points. K through 2 students were successful in Tier 1. I'm sorry. K2 students successful in Tier 1 only instruction, we did not meet. And we feel like that this was impacted by the 10 weeks missed in-school intervention because of COVID. Reading increased by 2.5% with 84.87% in Tier 1 only, and math increased by 1.4% with 92.87% in Tier 1 only. Of course, STAR was not tested this year due to COVID, and so we were unable to measure the 3rd through 10th grade increase in master's level by an average of 3 percentage points. We gathered this data directly from our frontline system where all student assistance team meetings are documented along with student growth on goals reached during interventions. Since implementing valid research-based progress monitoring for our students in interventions, we have documented students' growth in interventions more systematically. Our RTI specialists and interventionists lead this charge on their campuses along with our principals. Due to COVID-19, face-to-face interventions did not happen for all students, although our RTI specialists did conduct Google Hangouts for intervention groups during COVID. We did not reach this goal, but are excited about the increases we still show, knowing we are moving in the right direction. We are at a strong place based on RTI, response to intervention, which tells us that 80% of students should need only Tier 1 instruction. And we are above that percentage in our elementary schools in Midlothian overall for K through 5. I'm sorry, I'm still on the last one. I did want to share a little more information on that. Reading, 84.1% of our students in K through 5 needed no intervention support in reading, and I think that's really important to know. In math, 89.6% of our students in K-5 needed no intervention support in math. 460 students this school year exited out of interventions and were moved on grade level. All right. Performance objective 5, increase the percentage and achievement of students in advanced academics with an increase of 2 percentage points in the enrollment of students in AP dual credit and 8th grade Algebra 1, as well as increase CCMR by 2 percentage points. In addition, increase by 2%,
Judy,
I'm sorry.
I'm going to stop you there because this is where we added some more information. For
Oh, okay. I've got and I knew that we were going to have some stuff on AP. Okay.
So performance objective 4 for pre-K enrollment.
Okay.
Yes, we have worked really hard to increase our enrollment for pre-K, and we wanted to share a little bit about the early childhood data for you. So as you'll see that we really jumped in our attendance from 16-17 to 17-18 due to we feel going full-time pre-K during that time. We also actually had 110 approximately throughout the school year. That was our average of pre-K students. So we have worked really hard to do big marketing in that area to ensure that we're reaching as many pre-K students that are eligible as possible. We have conducted parent information nights that are recorded and online each year. We were unable to do that this past year because of COVID, but we did release those through social media. We also created brochures about our pre-K program that we had the plan of putting those in school offices, pediatrician offices, dentist offices, churches, and apartment offices. But of course, due to COVID, we were unable to do that this past year. We will certainly continue to market that in the coming year to ensure that we are reaching as many students as possible. Some things that we have done overall to ensure that our pre-K program is most effective is our pre-K teachers have received Handwriting Without Tears, a new math supplemental curriculum, and many other additional resources for learning. They have received curriculum scope and sequence that will follow this year, that we will follow this year, that is aligned with their state guidelines, and the TEKS resource system for Kinder is aligned with it. They receive 15 hours of coaching from Region 10 yearly. They also have to complete 15 hours of professional development each year. We will also be going through the adoption process this year for new curriculum from the state. And we will be redoing our family engagement plan this year to assist with partnering with families more effectively. As we move to look at kindergarten readiness, please make note that this data is collected each year by the state from the first 6 weeks of school. So it's really beginning of the year kindergarten data. As you will see in 17-18, our numbers were extremely low, as was the state, as the state and the district had some technology reporting issues. We are proud of our kindergarten readiness data from 2018-2019, with 85% of our students kindergarten ready in the month of October of 2019, compared to the state's 52%. Our students that actually attend pre-K and then go into a MISD kindergarten were at 91% kindergarten readiness compared to the state's 57%. You can also see on the slide the ethnicities of the percentage of students in each ethnicity that were kindergarten ready. We are also proud to see that all of those are well above the 70%. And all of those were also well above the state. The link that's down there at the bottom gives you more of that information as to where all of this came from. At the end of the year, which we also feel is very important to make sure we look at and analyze, our kindergarten on grade level for the 2020 school year was at 88% versus 83% in 2019. So we feel like we're moving in the right direction. The past 4 years, we've been working with our kindergarten teachers to focus on the basics of early literacy and moving towards the science of teaching reading with specific training in phonological awareness in phonics and using decodable text. At the end of the year, as per the state, we screen all kindergarten students to see who might be at risk for dyslexia or any reading needs. I personally have a discussion with each principal about each child's data, and we focus on what would be the next steps for these children. Since we were excused from doing this screening this past spring due to COVID, I will be following up with all principals for the beginning of the year first grade data talks to ensure that we haven't missed any children. These students are identified as possibly being at risk and are put on a watch list at each campus, given continued intervention services in first grade or tested for dyslexia as needed. Slide. We know how much pre-K through second grade affects third grade, so we put a lot of emphasis there. Some things to remember about STAR is that STAR began in 2012 with an emphasis on increased rigor, assessing skills at a greater depth and a level of cognitive complexity. New ELAR TEKS were also implemented in 2017 with a focus on self-selected text, cultural relevance, collaboration, and inquiry, and increased the level of complexity at each grade level. Being phased into testing, these new TEKS are phased into the STAR testing starting last year and through the next couple of years, with many other changes coming to the test from the state in the following years. We continue to focus on House Bill 3 board goals for third grade and progress monitoring at pre-K through second grade. We have created a district action plan as we have shared with you, and now our campuses are also doing the same thing to ensure that it becomes a part of their district improvement plan and campus improvement plans. Board goals for House Bill 3 are a part of the legislation and gave us a platform to ensure that we are looking more closely at our data. We began this process in January, digging into the data and looking closely at the demographic and sub-pop groups. We've had many discussions as a department and with our principals about this data to create action plans. Although the state recommended doing the progress monitoring for pre-K through 3, we felt it is vital to achieving these goals in third grade that we must have goals set in pre-K through 3 for each demographic group. We are currently working with our assessment companies for these grade levels to have imported demographic data for our campuses to be able to pull at any time to analyze and make and implement action plans as needed. Because of COVID, the state is allowing this coming school year to be a baseline for the progress monitoring for our campuses. So principals are setting goals and working on action plans will be a part of their campus improvement plans for Goal 1. We will be updating you, the board, and the public on these goals and progress checks throughout the school year. But more importantly, we will be analyzing this data to adjust and readjust as needed action plans to ensure we meet and exceed these goals for every demographic group and student group. Next slide, please. So let's talk a little bit about what we have been doing and will continue to be doing for early childhood. We will, as discussed a few slides back, continue to focus on marketing for increased enrollment in pre-K as we see the importance of reaching as many 4-year-olds as we can. We have also worked and will continue to work to make the enrollment process as easy as possible for our parents and continue the coaching and training for our teachers through Region 10. We will continue to tighten our focus on the response to intervention process using norm reference criteria to identify students in need, along with teacher observations and work samples, and continue to focus on the main goal of RTI, which is exiting our students and assisting them to be on grade level. Reading rules will continue to be our focus program for students struggling to read through interventions and through special education, as it has assisted us in making many gains already with our most struggling readers. We were also able to assist with the development of this program for kindergarten through the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston. And those teachers will now be working with all of our kindergarten teachers this year to bring those best practices into all classrooms. This is a research-based program that we have been very fortunate to be a part of from the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston. We will continue to focus on the best implementation of the new ELAR curriculum that we started this past school year with continued training, planning, and support on a regular basis. Early screening to identify students possibly at risk for dyslexia will continue at the end of kindergarten and middle of first grade, with this data being able to be broken down by demographics. We began the study of the important factors of the science of teaching reading when I started this role 4 years ago, and we will continue this focus, especially in our early grades. We are very excited that we'll be hiring an early childhood literacy expert, one of the authors actually from our Reading Rules program and from the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston, to be a part-time early childhood coach and trainer for our teachers in pre-K through 3. She began with us this past school year as a consultant, working with our K through teachers on the science of teaching reading. Our teachers respect her wealth of knowledge that she is able to share with them, and we feel this is a huge benefit for our district. We purchased about $3,000 worth of materials for our pre-K through 3 classrooms in the area of reading and math with a new early education allotment this year. Training and support on these supplemental materials will begin this fall, many which are effective teaching tools they can use in face-to-face or virtual learning. We will continue to use this allotment of funds from the state to focus on the needs of our pre-K through 3 classrooms and teachers, as well as paying for our state Reading Academy support. We are moving to a new kindergarten assessment that will be completed in reading and math 3 times a year that will give our teachers more specific data to identify students' strengths and weaknesses. This assessment was vetted through some of our teachers in the spring to ensure its benefit. And most importantly, we have begun the rollout of the state Reading Academies, which is a part of the House Bill 3 legislation. Courtney, if you'll go ahead and click on that 3-year rollout. This particular handout just kind of describes what the Reading Academies is about. If you'll scroll to the bottom, you'll see what our 3-year rollout is. Our principals, assistant principals, iCoaches, and interventionists began this process already completing 2 of the 10 days through a comprehensive model with the University of Texas at Austin's Meadows Center for Preventing Educational Risk. You'll go back to the slide, please. Furthermore, these academies truly focus on the science of teaching reading, which is also linked there for you. We are very excited that our trainer and coach for the next 3-year process comes from the Meadows Center for Preventing Educational Risk. When we look at, in conclusion, our economically disadvantaged students at the elementary level, we know we have 3 Title I schools. Each of those schools has a full-time iCoach for 4 days a week. They also have an additional interventionist, making them have 2 interventionists to work with their students that are struggling. And the counselors have received training on practical parenting that they use with parents throughout the school year. Our highest economically disadvantaged population is in Petoskey Elementary. That campus has a parent liaison, which is called Communities in School Person, has 2 intervention paras for push in or pull out. They also started last year with the parent program of Ready Rosie, which uses video modeling and mobile technology to build partnerships between families and educators to promote school readiness. In addition, they had an instructional analyst for additional teacher coaching and principal partner for the past 2 years from the University of Texas at Austin as well. They have greatly decreased their number of retentions in the past 4 years from 6.4% in 2015-2016 to 0.1% in 2019-2020, focusing on intervening for all students as needed. In addition, we are very excited that we have applied and received a grant to purchase home learning kits for all students at Petoskey for this coming fall. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Krisnack, for sharing that valuable data with us. I'm going to take us into Performance Objective 5, increase the participation and achievement of students in advanced academics with an increase of 2 percentage points in the enrollment of students in AP, dual credit, and 8th grade Algebra 1, as well as increase CCMR by 2 percentage points. In addition, increase by 2 percentage college hours earned. Advanced academics, enrollment of students in AP, dual credit, and 8th grade Algebra 1, we met. We increased from 4.5%. So we had 10,775 enrollments last year and the year before. And then this last year we had 11,260 enrollments. CCMR is a lagging indicator and will be released on the taper. And then, so our college hours earned this year it's up by 4%. We had 5,526 hours earned through dual credit and AP college credit. Also, could you go to the next slide? All right. I'm sorry. I just wanted to tell you on the on performance objective 5, I have it broken down through PEAMS on enrollment. And so for our advanced academics, we had 5,211 students at Midlothian High School. We had Heritage High School had 3,435 students enrollments. We had Frank Seal at 1,268 enrollments. Walnut Grove at 1,346. As you can see on the superintendent's metrics, these objectives, these performance objectives show up and performance objective 5, performance objective 4 show up here on the superintendent's metrics on the performance tracker. Next steps for 2021, DIP and CIP process goal 1. We want to ensure all teacher feedback on professional development is anonymous, and as I've already told you that we have started that process. We want to integrate House Bill 3 board goals and progress monitoring in the goal under performance objective 4, which you heard a little bit about what we've done this last year and what some of the things are that we have in the works for this next year, especially with our reading academies. This will build in checks for all demographic groups at all levels. For performance objective 4, we will ensure that we have a more robust, systematic process for virtual learning in regards to interventions needed. Build in non-star progress monitoring checks for performance objectives 1 and 4 to be analyzed at the middle of the year, i.e. district common assessments. Advanced levels and elementary benchmarks, TRS pre and post assessments. This data will be analyzed by demographic groups. And in addition, we will have a third-party auditor for culturally responsive curriculum. Now you can see, I showed you how it was on the performance tracker for the superintendent metrics. This is the campus metrics, and you can see that these performance objectives are embedded in here as well. And so that all that information is aligned to our campus metrics. Now we have asked Mrs. West from Miller Elementary and then Mrs. Tipton from Midlothian Heritage High School to share with you tonight about the campus improvement plan and some of their perspective on goal 1. And share some data with you. And so I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. West at this point. Thank you.
Fantastic. Good evening. I am excited to talk to you a little bit about the things going on at Miller Elementary and how it relates back to the campus metrics and the campus and district improvement plans. For performance objective 1, it's all about providing challenging academic content. Through meaningful PD and iCoach support, we've made great strides in providing activities and assessments that are authentic for student learning and aligned to TEKS. Our 3rd and 4th grade teachers worked with TPAC this year, created performance assessments that allowed student ownership and creativity in demonstrating their evidence in learning. We're excited about continuing that work next year. Performance objective 4 is using high yield learning strategies for the growth of all students. This is something I feel like we do exceptionally well at Miller. For the last 4 years, we have worked within our grade levels and took a deep dive into learning the TEKS and evaluating the alignment between the lessons and activities we were doing against the specificity of the TEKS. Were we really teaching what we were supposed to be teaching? This year, we started meeting in vertical or multi-grade level teams, and we used a plan, do, study, act model to address areas of concerns. And right before we moved to at-home learning, teachers were starting to record themselves, and they were sharing them during these meetings and getting feedback from their peers. And it was a time of reflection, and we were seeing great growth in that area. This process allowed us to streamline the academic vocabulary and instructional strategies we used, and our students benefited from our intentionality. Obviously, a piece of that is looking at data and talking about kids specifically and looking for trends in grade levels. And so we spent a lot of time talking about not only overall school performance, but individual performance as well. Something that we are working on is the empowered learning environment. I don't have very many good things to say about COVID, but transitioning to at-home learning encouraged our teachers to take big risks with technology. And based on their end of the year reflections, they cannot wait to leverage technology use to personalize learning for students. Ms. Tipton?
Good evening. I am thankful for the opportunity to share some information with you about our campus improvement plan at Heritage High School and how it relates in particular to goal number 1. Just a few things in an overall perspective. As a high school, and I can kind of speak for both high schools in regards to some of these things, both high schools have increased our focus in creating a very comprehensive and effective course fair prior to course selection processes. In that course fair, we include a great amount of detail regarding pre-AP, AP, and dual credit options, as well as all of the elective advanced classes as well. We have increased our focus on counseling guidance, and our counselors will sit down with individual students and their parents when possible to help in that course selection process. And there has been just an increase overall in the focus of CCMR guidance and communication with parents and students regarding post-secondary options and support. So a couple of goals to focus on. Under Performance Objective 5, under Goal 1, was to increase our dual credit semester enrollments from 855 to 875. And at Heritage High School, last year's dual credit semester enrollments were 926. Another goal in consideration with dual credit opportunities was to increase the number of courses that are taught by our embedded staff, and that is our Heritage staff that have their master's degree and are credentialed to teach those dual credit classes. That went from, our goal was to go from 74% to 95%. In 2019-20, we had 83% of our dual credit courses were taught by embedded staff. The value in that is that the students tend to want to take the classes that are taught by teachers that they have relationships with. They tend to do a better job in those classes. There tends to be less issues with logistics and communication, and overall we've just had better success from our embedded staff teaching those courses. Some reasons for those goals being reached, we feel like, was some of the effective recruiting and communication about these dual credit opportunities. We also were happy that Navarro College has added a dual credit liaison this past year, and that individual was able to be on both high school campuses several times throughout the spring in helping with course selection and enrollment in the Apply Texas and getting ready to take those dual credit classes. We also have offered and will continue to offer the TSI on campus to provide opportunities for those students to be eligible to take those dual credit classes. And of course, as I mentioned, we're constantly encouraging our teachers to continue their professional growth and learning and getting their master's degree to be able to teach those embedded classes. In regards to AP, our goal was to increase the percentage of AP students taking those exams from 90 to 95%. This past year, we had 81% of our AP students taking the exam. We believe that that dip was directly in response to the COVID situation. Several students just did not feel like that they wanted to participate in the online testing environment. However, we did still see some increasing in our percentage of students who scored a 3 or higher of those that took the test. Our goal was for them to have 50% of our overall test takers to be able to score a 3 or higher. And at Heritage, we were really happy that we had 57% of our students taking those AP exams scored a 3 or higher, potentially earning them some college credit. We attribute those AP increases due to a couple of things. We have focused our attention on making sure that our teachers are well trained and they have the resources that they need. The district has been very supportive in sending our students to the AP Summer Institutes on a regular basis to make sure they're staying up to date with all the information needed to teach those classes. A couple of incentives also for students. I think having the monetary reward and also the semester exam exemption practices in place also give those students some extra incentive to do well. A couple of areas for continued growth in the areas of the EOC and SAT. A couple of quick things on that. Under Performance Objective 4, we really hope to continue to increase our EOC master's levels. Even though we did see some increase from 2018 to 2019 in the areas of algebra, US history, algebra 1, our biology stayed pretty steady at about 37%, which was still pretty good, but our English 2 was only at 11% with master's attainment. And so we want to continue to have the goal to raise those master's levels. Some of the ways that we are planning to do that is just, again, focus on those 4 C's, as Ms. Walling mentioned, the communication, critical thinking, creativity, and collaboration. And then equipping our teachers in those PLCs to make real world connections, improve their questioning strategies in the classroom, and incorporate peer instruction where possible to increase the level of engagement in the classes. And then the last area is Performance Objective 5. We have a goal to continue to increase our SAT scores. We would like to increase those from our SAT from 1122 to 1155, and our ACT from 21.7 to 22.5. We do not have the results for those yet, but a couple of things that we're doing to try to reach those goals. We do have many opportunities for students to participate in ACT and SAT boot camps that are on campus. We also have communication that goes out for our parents and our students in how to connect their College Board account with Khan Academy so that they can have individualized and personalized review for those assessments. And we will continue to offer our SAT and ACT school day options so that we can provide that comfortable environment for students to hopefully do their best on those exams. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Department of Learning, Ms. Tipton, Ms. West, for sharing Goal 1 in depth. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to Goal 2.
Okay, good afternoon. So Goal 2 states the district will develop a comprehensive staffing plan to foster innovation, effective communication, and a high-performing culture throughout the district. So Performance Objective 1 required the development and execution of a high-level recruitment plan that maintains above 90% of overall market value of employees' salaries as measured by TASB. The district met this goal with a 96% overall market average on all employee salaries. You'll see that we also separated teacher salaries out, which came to 96%, and all employees except teachers, which was at 96.4%. For Performance Objective number 2, the district was charged with identifying and providing support systems needed to increase staff attendance and retain quality staff. We plan to use the district survey to measure this objective, but due to COVID, we do not have survey data on this objective. However, we did look at staff attendance. This is the second year for employees to carry local days forward into the next year. And while we do not believe attendance data from this year is a good indicator due to our status as closed but instructing, we have seen a decrease in staff absences over the last 2 years. We also looked at staff retention. You will see that we have a higher percentage of teachers who received a promotion outside of MISD, people who retired from education, and staff who chose to return to school to further their education. For Performance Objective 3, it's to design and facilitate opportunities to build leadership capacity in staff as seen through survey feedback with 80% satisfaction of all participants in leadership opportunities. We would normally bring you data from the staff survey, but as I mentioned before, due to COVID, it wasn't available. Instead, you will see that we are providing anonymous feedback from our Midlothian Aspiring Leaders Academy and our Assistant Principal Academies. 100% of participants in the Midlothian Aspiring Leaders Academy reported professional development through the program helped them build their leadership capacity. Feedback from the Assistant Principal Academy was mixed. 67% of participants reported opportunities to build their leadership skills for future roles, while 90% reported that professional development was relevant to their current role. To mitigate this in the future, we have feedback from Assistant Principal Academy participants and principals on best ways to build that leadership capacity in the 2020-2021 school year. So these are all of the metrics that are in Dr. Ledbetter's superintendent metrics that are aligned to Goal 2 for staffing and personnel. You'll see that each metric is aligned to a specific performance objective within Goal 2. Then these are the metrics that are in the campus principal metrics that are aligned to Goal 2 for staffing and personnel. And you'll see that each metric is also aligned to a specific performance objective within Goal 2 there. So for next steps for the 2020-2021 district and campus Goal 2 include the following. First, we will intentionally seek diverse employees by attending job fairs at diverse universities. Next, we would like to add a bilingual stipend to each campus for bilingual employees who are not responsible for teaching a class in Spanish. We will also work with universities to send diverse student teachers to MISD. And we want to increase the increase the recruitment of diverse employees through local job fairs and direct attendance at job fairs. We will set a goal to increase professional minority hires by 10%. We're also looking at ways to broaden culturally responsive teaching and hiring practices. We are currently working to recruit and hire a director of diversity, equity, and inclusion. In addition, we're going to hire a consultant with a cultural proficiency, that is a cultural proficiency expert on all systems within the district, and develop a transition plan based on work between the consultant and the district.
All right, thank you, Dr. Heathcote, for sharing Goal 2. Goal 3, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Wigginton.
Thank you. Good evening. So Goal 3 is provide a safe and secure learning environment that supports the social and emotional well-being of our school community. Performance Objective 1 is enhance success for all students by supporting their social and emotional development in a variety of coordinated efforts to honor relationships and celebrate the power of diversity, which is measured by a 5% decrease in substantiated bullying, as well as 100% participation in cultural proficiency trainings. You can see that our bullying data compared to last year, that we have met that goal. I would like to add one caveat that the data is as of March the 5th. We did not receive any bullying reports once we had our school closures, but you can see that through 1920, we had 24 investigations, 6 substantiated, which is a 25% substantiated rate. For our cultural proficiency data, we met that goal as well. We had district-wide professional development at the beginning of 2019 school year with staff development, with culturally responsive training, and 100% of all staff received that training. During iPlan throughout the school year, we had professional development, and we studied elements of cultural proficiency throughout the year as outlined by our trainer that trained us at the very, very beginning of the school year. When we're talking about bullying data, I always feel like it's important for us to visit the definition of bullying. That bullying term is often misused. However, as school districts and school employees, we are tasked to follow the definition when we're seeking investigative responses to student reports. So bullying means a single significant act or pattern of acts by one or more students directed at another student that exploits an imbalance of power. And those two things are underlined because those single significant act and pattern of act, as well as exploit an imbalance of power, really hinges on some next steps in investigations. It could involve a written or verbal expression through electronic means, or physical conduct that satisfies the applicability requirements provided by subsection A1 that has the effect or will have the effect of physically harming a student, damaging a student's property, or placing a student in reasonable fear of harm to the student's person or the damage of the student's property. Is sufficiently severe, persistent, or pervasive enough that the action or threat creates an intimidating, threatening, or abusive educational environment for a student, materially and substantially disrupts the educational process or to the orderly operation of the classroom or school, or infringes on the student's rights of the victim at school and includes cyberbullying. And cyberbullying means, if you'll go to the next slide. Thank you, ma'am. Bullying that is done through the use of any electronic communication device, including through the use of cellular or other type of telephone, computer, camera, electronic mail, instant messaging, text messaging, social media application, internet website, or any other internet-based communication. So I read that definition because it's important to look at all the elements and the requirements to meet the bullying, to substantiate a bullying claim. We receive reports from bullying in many ways. We have anonymous reports via crisis link that is available to students and families and community members. We have sometimes we receive bullying reports through Gaggle or a threat assessment process. We can always receive verbal reporting by a parent, student, or a bystander. At times there's indirect reporting by a parent, student, or bystander. And any physical or verbal conflict between students that is reported is investigated, even if it is not formally reported as bullying. So any type of reporting will initiate an investigation. So procedures for training for this school year, we do annual bullying compliance training for all campus and district staff members. In addition, at the beginning of the 2019 school year, we review with principals and campus staff procedures for reports of a physical altercation, reports of bullying, and any protocols for parent contact for discipline incidents. A parent phone call is made by the end of the day for any of the above. On September 12, 2019, principals received training on conducting thorough investigations using the Texas School Safety Center and Wash Gallegos bullying checklist. On September 20th, 2019, counselors also received training on the counselor role in a bullying investigation. And on September 24th, 2019, assistant principals received the same training on conducting thorough investigations using that same model that we use with the principals. This is a link to the Texas School Safety Center. They have scenario-based exercises for school administrators to use as a guide, and you can see that there is a bullying checklist that is attached. This is a way for administrators to determine the direction of a bullying investigation and whether it is substantiated or not. We use this, as I mentioned before, in our training with practice sessions to go through the scenarios to talk through whether that incident would be considered bullying or not. When we investigate our bullying or any reports of an incident, if a source reports an incident to a teacher, counselor, administrator, that then turns into, every time it always goes to administrator. And then the administrator conducts an investigation and contacts the parent. If it's a bullying report, we utilize a bullying investigation form that is completed by the campus administrator. Other disciplinary incidents, however, use an investigation report as well. That is completed by the campus administrator. It's used for discipline incidents to provide a thorough gathering of data that's related to the incident, and that is important because that could lead to a bullying investigation, and those are linked there for you to view. So for support and prevention for 2019 and 20, we added bullying prevention programs at elementary, K through 5 through Aim for Success. We also included last school year and this year moving forward, bullying compliance training to include all district administrators. We hired last school year a social emotional support specialist for our elementary level, and she provides interventions and teacher support to help with students in disciplinary issues, but also support in the classroom environment. On September 25th, 2019, Aim for Success did a Taking a Stand Against Bullying Parent U to our parents. And then we utilized the Texas School Safety Center checklist, as mentioned before, for bullying exercises for campus administrators. Ongoing, we provide ongoing support and prevention. Character education and guidance lessons is an ongoing process that takes place on our campuses. We have safe and supportive school climate campus initiatives that are ongoing. We provide individual and small group counseling where counselors work with students for skills related to managing emotions, establishing and maintaining relationships, and responsible decision making. We also, our library media specialists are critical in our digital citizenship training for our students, as well as our teachers provide that ongoing. We have community partnerships with prevention programming with Aim for Success, Reach Council, Communities and Schools, and Mentors Care. And then we always highlight National Bullying Prevention Week activities on campus as that comes around annually. And I believe Commander Hicks is going to do this one.
Yes, I'm trying to get my video to come on. Dr. Carpenter, could you help with that?
Yes, I can. Are you in Dr. Hemley's office?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, try now. There you are.
Okay, good deal. All right, so we had performance objective 2 to develop and execute a safety and security plan at the district and campus levels is measured by an increase of 5% in positive responses to safety and security survey questions. However, the safety and security survey data is not available due to Youth Truth not being administered during COVID. So we wanted to look at evidence of safety and security measures prior to COVID-19 to support the objective. So as far as safety drills conducted district-wide this past year, we conducted 111 drills, which included fire drills, lockdown drills, lockout drills, and shelter-in-place drills. Threat assessments district-wide were 25. We do have campus threat assessment teams as well as administrative threat assessment teams. Many of those threat assessments, fortunately, were done at the campus level and didn't reach a level of high alert that warranted the administrative team to look at the threat assessment. But myself and Dr. Hemley always looked at all the threat assessments that came in and that were conducted. Safety and security visits by myself on campus district-wide, again, was approximately 50 visits. I believe it was a little more than that, but many of those visits were by appointment where I was meeting with the principals or the APs to discuss different issues. And then many other of those were just me showing up and looking at different aspects of safety and security. As far as drug prevention education, we had over 5,799 AIM and REACH engagements. And as far as bullying prevention education, we had over 5,315 AIM engagements.
Okay, performance objective 3 is create opportunities to promote the academic and social benefits of regularly attending school with a 2% increase in the number of students involved in extracurricular activities, maintaining at least 96% attendance rate, and having 100% graduating seniors completing a minimum of 10 community service hours. So this year we had 5,550 students involved in extracurricular activities, so our goal was met at a 2.29% increase. In 2019-20, our attendance rate was met with a 96.48%. Those are preliminary numbers waiting for adjustment from ADA due to COVID. We did have to do, we did not meet our community service hour goal, and that is because of the COVID-19. We had to have a waiver for the community service hours. So because we missed 11 weeks, the board waived that requirement at a board meeting. So we are constantly looking at ways for our students to be involved in extracurricular and encouraging them to come to school as much as possible. We've done both of our high school campuses have done a phenomenal job with course fairs and really looking at what kinds of getting students involved in the school community. And those are things that we've had to focus on to meet performance objective 3. You can see that goal 3 is embedded in the superintendent's metrics for safety, security, and SEL. And then goal 3 is also in the campus metrics where they are aligned to the campus principal metrics for safety and security and social emotional learning as well. For our next steps for the 2020-2021 DIP and CIP process for goal 3, we are going to complete Signs of Suicide program. We were not able to complete that as planned due to COVID-19. We have plans to do that in March. As a matter of fact, right when we came back from spring break that week, and since the school closure, we were not able to complete that. We were going to audit and build a district-wide SEL plan through the Diversity Council, update our emergency operation plan to include psychological safety. Working on comprehensive restorative practice training as provided by our in-district trainer of trainer. We'll make a plan for this school year to initiate those restorative practices trainings. For updates, train all staff in trauma-informed care through compliance training. Use TBRI, which is trust-based relational training with all new teachers. We've added an additional student support counselor at elementary. We are engaging in a contract with Next Steps Community Solutions for counseling for our middle school students. That will be provided for, of course, with consent from parents, but it will be an additional level of support at the middle school level. We've added AVID at Franksville Middle School and Dietrich Middle School. And then we are looking to engage in a contract with Children's Health Behavioral, which will be tele-behavioral health at a few of our campuses, and that is through the Mental Health Consortium. And that is was brought about by the last legislative session, so that is in the works for the next school year.
All right, and we're going to turn Goal 4 over to Mr. Blackwell.
Thank you, Dr. Carpenter. Good evening, board. Goal 4 is to facilitate budget process and building designs through allocated district resources that foster flexible and innovative learning spaces. Under performance objective 1, that reads, we're going to develop a comprehensive facilities plan to guide financial decisions related to future site acquisition, new construction, and renovation of existing facilities with 100% under budget. And we also want all those to be done within the schedule set. So this year we were 100% within or under budget. You can see there that we acquired more land at Prairie Ridge out on the west side of town. We are finishing up a new HVAC installation at JAV this summer. We are just about putting the finishing touches on Dietrich Middle School in the mile, and they will open this schedule, and those will also be under budget. We did some renovations to the MHS Kuntz Gym, the Rubber Gym, and the MHS Auditorium. Those are wrapping up. We're also doing a refresh to the old Jenkins Center, now the Randall Hill Support Center. New flooring, new paint, and we'll be moving some of our staff over there from the auxiliary center, such as maintenance, custodial services, food service, and certain special education staff will be housed there. And we're also finishing up the Racer Athletic Complex this summer. Finally, we're about to kick off our expansion to Heritage High School. We're under contract. We selected a general contractor earlier this month, and we'll begin work on that soon. Under performance objective 2, we're going to develop a budgeting process to guide financial decisions related to instructional design and engagement. It results in a reduction in cross-function transfers and a fund balance percentage above 30% of our operating budget. And you can see in the first bullet there, kind of tracking it over time. This past year, 34.59%. We were above 30% at 34.59% of our operating budget. And then for next year, we expect that to be 34.31%. So we met that. One we did not meet was cross-function transfers. We want to always make sure that we are following the PO process, and we were up slightly on our cross-function transfers. I suspect that some of those may be due to some COVID purchases that were made in March and in the spring. So we will continue to work toward, our goal is obviously 0 cross-function transfers, but there are things that do happen. One thing that we did meet also was we want to reduce the number of check requests. So we had 204 check requests submitted in 2019-20. That's down by approximately 400 check requests from the previous year. A couple of things that have really helped was each January, a budget handbook goes out to all campuses. It's to be used as a guide when creating campus budgets and to ensure consistency. It gives you codes for all accounts, and that was always very helpful to me as a principal. And the last thing that's been happening the last few years is we've been holding budget meetings with every department within the district and at the campus to clarify the process, to answer questions, and to give them just some tips on areas they may want to beef up their budgets. You can see from this slide that goal 4, to facilitate budget process and building designs through allocated district resources that foster flexible and innovative learning spaces, is directly aligned to the superintendent metrics as are the performance objectives listed there. You can also see that it's aligned to the campus metrics. And so everything that we're expecting ourselves to do is on the superintendent metrics, and it's also in the campus metrics. Regarding next steps for the CIP and DIP process for Goal 4 for this upcoming year, we want to continue to track the progress of our construction and renovation projects. Like I said earlier, we're kicking off the Heritage High School expansion project. That's going to be very exciting to watch. We're going to continue to be proactive in maintenance and custodial efforts. Just keep in mind that we've got to maintain our facilities while we're managing COVID. And so our custodians and our maintenance crews are very, very busy trying to keep buildings in good repair and keep them clean, and also get all the PPE out and prepare for students coming back in the fall. We're going to continue to work with our realtor to make new land purchases for future school sites. And we are currently working with DOK Architects on the design of Elementary 8. Some of our staff have been involved in that launch. It's very exciting to pick the design and begin to work on that. We're going to continue to work on the goal of reducing cross-function budget transfers and check requests. And finally, a huge task, we're preparing for the challenges of COVID, as far as personal protection equipment, transportation logistics, food service logistics, cleaning efforts, and the financial impact on our budget.
Thank you, Mr. Blackwell. Mr. Garricani is going to share with us some information out of Goal 5.
All right, good evening, board. So I'm covering Goal 5, provide support and resources to cultivate customization and personalization through blended learning opportunities. So for the performance objective number 1, deliver a structured professional development plan to support curriculum and technology integration, where at least 90% of teachers believe the professional development increased the effectiveness of their teaching and learning. So we took this data from a few different sources, and there's the new teacher orientation survey. There's also a back to school survey. Additionally, surveys from all 4 of our iPlan days resulted in a percentage of 90.58 that our teachers believe that the professional development was effective. And with the threshold set at 90%, we believe we met this performance objective. Bright Bites survey data wasn't completed at the end of this year due to coronavirus COVID-19. So Bright Bites survey will be completed in November 2020. For performance objective number 2, provide systems to maximize digital resources for MISD students and staff with a reduction in the number of open help desk tickets. As you well know, when we had to make an adjustment due to COVID-19, we implemented a virtual call center, and the implementation of the virtual call center, in addition to that, being comprised of 4 different help desk queues, if you will. So we have a general help desk queue, an instructional support help desk queue, a PEAMS campus support help desk queue, and of course our technology help desk queue. And so we now are maintaining 4 separate queues of ticketing for our support. And so this kind of skewed the data. So in looking at this, we thought that the best approach is really to present this as the time to resolution. So tickets by full resolution time. We obviously had a virtual call center, so our response was much quicker. And we noticed in comparable data to last year from the 2018-2019 data, our response time, we resulted in a 20% reduction comparing last year to this year. Moving ahead to performance objective number 3, develop a plan to ensure appropriate network infrastructure for anticipated needs that aligns with the 2016 bond. Once again, as you know, we implemented the voters passed the 2016 bond, and as far as the budgets that were prepared for that related to technology, as a consequence, we have put together a technology replacement schedule. The technology replacement schedule goes out to the year 2032. We always try to update that each year. So we're 12 years ahead, and we know every network switch, every wireless access point, every server, we know what year we need to be planning to replace those. And so we have the technology replacement schedule, and that has been completed and updated for this year. Goal 5, provide support and resources to cultivate customization and personalization through the blended learning opportunities. This is the campus metric. And then in terms of next steps for this next year, we're going to continue to investigate systems operability options with ClassLink. ClassLink is our new single sign-on platform. It replaced HelloID. HelloID is, like I've mentioned in previous board meetings, it's a single pane of glass where all of our students and all of our teachers can go to that site and launch into whatever instructional materials resource or even non-instructional materials resource from that single platform. Continue to provide technical support and training to teachers and students on learning management platforms, working hand in hand with our friends over in curriculum. We continue to support and provide training on our district adopted learning management platforms, Canvas and Seesaw. Also, professional development for the new Skyward SIS. Thank you very much. Back in April, you approved the contract for the Skyward Student Information System. And so we are looking forward to that implementation, and we have set up a timeline to stage professional development for various stakeholder groups over the next year to ensure that they have the confidence and the knowledge to begin to implement the new Skyward software for the fall 2021. However, the scheduling for that year will begin in January of 2021. Implement items and update technology replacement schedule I've already mentioned, and this just coincides with our budget and with both our local tech budget and our technology bond dollars. Finalize the comprehensive cybersecurity plan. We got this work started this past year, admittedly somewhat derailed as we got into coronavirus and having to facilitate and support at-home instruction. We will reboot that and reconvene that committee this next fall with a plan to fully implement and get the recommendations of that committee for our cybersecurity plan. Our intention is to expand that committee to provide for the next bullet item and the last one, consider device replacement options for Empowered One-to-One. Congratulations, we've made it 4 years into our Empowered One-to-One program. It was at the end of this next year, it will have been 4 years ago that we implemented the one-to-one program as it relates to devices. We signed an Apple lease, we acquired Apple devices, and we deployed those to our students and our staff. And so now comes the time to reconvene a group to look at options for the following years. And so we'll be doing that, and I'm sure a resulting recommendation will come forth that we'll be bringing to you.
All right, thank you. And for our final goal during this presentation, I'm going to turn over to Ms. Fitzgerald.
Good evening. So with board goal 6, build a strong foundation of the MISD culture through communication and engagement to empower all stakeholders. And so here are our formative check process. For our performance objective 1 is to increase staff communication and engagement by 5% as measured on district feedback. And so we don't have some of that data due to COVID, and so we have postponed that survey. And so what we have done is efforts that would have led to the survey data would have been, and is, our weekly staff meetings with Dr. Ledbetter, and also our lunch and learns at all campuses and departments where Dr. Ledbetter gets to meet with every single staff member in MISD to hear what they enjoy about MISD and where we can improve in assisting our employees. Performance objective number 2 is increased parent communication and engagement with a 3% increase in district survey participation. And as I mentioned in objective 1, our Youth Truth Survey was delayed due to COVID, but here were the efforts would have led to survey data on our Thursday community update with Dr. Ledbetter, and then of course, our Just the Facts series. So performance objective 3 is develop partnership and volunteer efforts with a 3% increase in community partnerships and a 3% increase in volunteer hours. Due to the MILE and our career technology educational efforts, we met that standard and increased by 28%. And also with our volunteers, we have 8,906 as our baseline because we just implemented over the last school year the expansion of Raptor, which allows us to track volunteer hours. So that is a new system this last school year. So performance objective 4 is build leadership capacity with parents and community with a 2% increase in committee involvement through community awareness. We were unable to meet that, that performance objective. We had enough numbers to improve the increase, but as far as consistent attendance across month to month, we were unable to do that. And you can see those numbers there. So with, here you see our matrix, our performance matrix. And of course, this is, these matrix were outlined by our community and our board 2 years ago, which was adopted at that time. And here are our campus matrix. As you can see, that's direct alignment to our performance tracker. So here's our next step. So for our staff communication, we are working on establishing a robust intranet that's a better platform for employee communication. We're also going to continue and continue our weekly staff meetings with Dr. Ledbetter on Wednesday, and we've expanded that to really be able to ask a lot of questions and have enough staff on those staff meetings to be able to answer questions right then and there to the best of our ability, and also increase lunch and learns. And we're going to do that either face-to-face or virtual, depending on where we are with the COVID-19 situation. With our parent communication, as you may have seen, we just launched a new website that's better quality and a better user experience for our district. Also, we've just completed the implementation of a mass notification system, and this tool is better when it comes to tracking of emails and text messaging. Our last mass notification system, we had an issue with text messages. It wasn't as strong, and so we went with this particular organization because they have a better tool for that. We're going to be evaluating our MISD Connect, which is our monthly newsletter. We want to make sure it's a meaningful newsletter and helpful for our parents. So we'll be looking at that content and reaching out to our community to see how we can improve upon that. And of course, we do want to continue our community lunchtime updates. We've received a lot of positive feedback that they can receive a brief update on our district, 7 minutes or less. That's our goal. We don't always meet that 7 minutes, but we try to. We record it. We follow up the next day with FAQs to the best of our ability and the recording of the meeting in case somebody missed it.
Okay, thank you very much. So in review, we shared the BQA, BQB legal and local process for the DEIC and CEIC site-based. We talked in depth, comprehensively about the goals, performance objectives, and strategies within each department. We reviewed the performance tracker, superintendent, campus metrics. We discussed the alignment of those into the DIP and CIP process. And then each department went through and did a comprehensive update for the 2019-2020 school year that included their departmental work, all of their strategies, as well as the measurement pieces in each performance objective, and then the metrics that were in each of the campus, superintendent, and performance tracker metrics. Thank you very much.